So today we're doing something a little different. We're going to try and unlock a famously difficult play. And the key? Well, it's not what you'd expect. It's a classic Hindi film song. And what's wild is how these two things from completely different worlds end up asking the exact same, really terrifying question about what it even means to be alive.
This line, it's from the 1971 Indian film Anand. And it's so much more than just a hauntingly beautiful lyric, right? It's a huge philosophical question. And that question is going to be our guide as we step into a world full of, well, menace, confusion, and some serious existential dread. So yeah, let's dive in.
So the song, Zindagi Kaisi Hai Paheli, it frames our entire existence in a really specific way. It's not a journey you finish or a fight you can win. No, it says life is a paheli, or a riddle, or a puzzle. And here's the kicker, the part that's actually kind of terrifying. This isn't a puzzle you're meant to solve. There is no answer.
And that idea right there, that we're living in an unanswerable riddle, that's our way in. It's the perfect key to understanding one of the most, let's say, challenging and deeply unsettling movements in 20th century theater.
You have to remember, this came right out of the ashes of World War II. The theater of the absurd, well, it takes that feeling of a world that just doesn't make sense anymore and puts it right on stage, front and center. So you're not getting a nice, neat story with a happy ending. Not at all. The whole point is to make you, the audience, stare that paheli, that riddle of existence, right in the face. Okay, so with that in mind, let's talk about Harold Pinter. He was an absolute master of this stuff. And what made him so brilliant, so terrifying, is that he didn't find the absurd in some weird alien world. No, he found it right in the most normal place you can imagine, the British living room.
See, Pinter's genius was taking his absurdity and grounding it in these really familiar, almost boringly normal settings. You know, a seaside boarding house, a simple conversation about the weather. That's where he starts. And that's exactly where the dread begins to creep in, which makes it so much more terrifying when all logic just completely falls apart.
He got so good at this that critics actually had to invent a term for it, comedy of menace. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that deeply uncomfortable feeling. You know the one. When you find yourself laughing at something, but you have no idea why it's funny. And at the exact same time, a part of you is just genuinely afraid.
So meet Stanley. He is, for all intents and purposes, a man living inside this riddle we've been talking about. He's hiding out from, well, something. He can't really explain what. He can't make sense of his own past, and he absolutely cannot comprehend the two strangers who just walked through his door. The threat is there, but it's completely undefined.
Okay, so now for the really cool part. Let's actually use the lyrics from that song as our key. Think of it like a decoder ring for unlocking the super menacing, super confusing world of this play, because when you put them side by side, the parallels are, honestly, they're astonishing. I mean, just take this line. It perfectly captures how the play constantly throws you off balance. 1 minute it's funny, the next it's terrifying. This is the heart and soul of that comedy of menace, that feeling of being yanked between laughter and weeping, sometimes in the very same breath. And the birthday party scene itself, it's the best example of this in action. You've got all the pieces of a normal party, right? There's the comedy of giving a silly birthday gift or playing traditional party games, but Pinter, he just twists everything. The birthday gift turns into a weapon for an interrogation. A simple game of blind man's buff becomes this predatory, almost violent ritual. It's laughter and pure psychological terror all mixed up together. Okay, let's look at another lyric. This one talks about a mind that isn't really awake, one that's just chasing after dreams. It's this idea of a sleepwalking self, someone who's so lost in their own illusions that they can't see reality for what it is. There's just no real self-awareness there. I mean, come on, that is Stanley to a T. He's built this entire identity around the idea that he once a great concert pianist. But it's just a story, right? A fragile little dream he's constructed to protect himself. And he has no idea that the entire play is basically designed to shatter that dream and wake him up in the most brutal way you can imagine. And then there's this last really powerful line from the song. It talks about a traveler of dreams who one day moves beyond them. But this isn't a good thing. It's not about achieving your dreams. It's about a total breakdown of the self. The very thing that defined you, your dreams, your illusions, is gone. And what's left?
nothingness. And at the end of the play, Pinter offers zero resolution, none. Stanley is just broken. His identity has been completely wiped clean, and he's led away without saying a word. He is that traveler from the song. He's moved beyond his dreams because they've been destroyed. He's been so completely consumed by the riddle that his very self has just dissolved into it. So, look, the point here is that this connection, this is not some random coincidence. The fact that a post-war British play and a Hindi film song from decades later are exploring the exact same territory, that points to something much bigger. It points to a shared, universal human question that cuts across all cultures, all geography, all time. For instance, in Indian philosophy, you have this concept of Maya. It's the idea that the everyday world we think is so real is actually a kind of illusion, a veil hiding a much deeper, different reality. Well, isn't that exactly what Pinter's boarding house is? This perfectly normal, mundane surface that's hiding something terrifying underneath. It's basically Maya, but on a stage.
Or take the concept of Anitya from Buddhist thought, which is all about impermanence. It's the idea that nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent, especially our own sense of self. And what is Stanley's journey, if not a brutal live-action demonstration of that? We watch his identity, the thing he clings to, completely fall apart. It's the idea of Anitya, dramatized right in front of us. So when you actually lay it all out side by side, the parallels are they're undeniable. You have the unstable reality of Pinter's menacing boarding house, which is a perfect match for the concept of Maya, the illusion. You have Stanley's unstable self, his identity completely breaking down, which is a dead ringer for anicca, or impermanence. And the unstable meaning of the play itself, all those unanswered questions, that silence, that is the Paheli, the riddle. It's the same exact existential crisis, just being seen through two completely different cultural lenses.
So where does that leave us? What's the big takeaway from finding this incredible connection between a dark, weird play and this beautiful, sad song? What are we supposed to do with this idea of life as a riddle?
Well, it seems like both traditions, in their own way, arrive at the exact same conclusion. And that is, the riddle of existence isn't a problem you're supposed to solve. It's a condition that you have to live inside. The whole point isn't finding the answer. The meaning isn't waiting at the end in some neat little package. Instead, what they both seem to suggest is that the real meaning, maybe even human dignity itself, isn't found in answering the riddle. It's found in having the courage to just keep asking the question. It's about facing all that uncertainty, all that menace, all that absurdity, and not demanding a simple, easy answer.
And that, I think, turns this whole thing right back around to us, doesn't it? It leaves us with a pretty profound question. Because we all have them. We all live with our own unanswered questions, our own personal pahelis that shape who we are. So maybe the real question isn't what's the answer, but what's the unanswerable question you live with?